haven't heard anybody say no. So, all right, welcome everybody to this planning board meeting, Wednesday, August 19th, 2020. Again, another one of our online Zoom meetings, but I think we've got a process that works pretty well. First item on the agenda is a roll call. We should have, and I can't see all of you, but I'm assuming based on what Kyle said, we have Krista Schwintzer, we have Mike Costello, we've got Judd McIntosh, we've got John Beckett, we've got Dave Thompson, Lisa Buck, and myself, Phil Ruck. Next up is acceptance of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Lisa. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, that was Mike, I believe. Yeah. All right, any discussion? Hearing none. Jessica, can you do the roll, please?
Yeah, I sure can. Give me just one sec. Dave? You gotta unmute Dave.
Okay. He's here.
So for the approval of the agenda, Dave Thompson?
Say here.
Here. Okay.
I'll take it.
All right.
Lisa Buck?
It says mute.
Yes.
Backwards.
Yeah.
Really?
John Beckett?
Yes.
Krista Schwentzer?
Yes.
Michael Costello?
Yes.
Judd McIntosh?
Yes.
And Phil Ruck.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Jessica. The next up is approval of the minutes of the July 15th, 2020 meeting, and another thorough job. Jessica, can I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Very good. Thank you, Krista. Can I get a second?
Second.
Very good. That was Mr. Beckett, I believe. I can't see your face, but I know your voice. So any discussion on the minutes? Any edits? Are we waiting for, just by curiosity, any mute? Krista, you usually catch some. Do you have any this evening?
No, I have nothing. I read them thoroughly and there is
All right.
nothing to fix.
Nice work, Jessica. I guess hearing none, could I?
Wait a minute. I have one correction.
Right. You got it. What do you got, Dave?
Page 5, bottom of the page, the last paragraph.
Yeah.
About 6 dump trucks. It should be dump truck loads.
Okay.
I'll take care of that. Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Very good. Anybody else? All right. With that, one change. Great job, Jessica. Jessica, can you read the roll again, please? All those in favor?
Sure. All in favor for approval of the minutes, Dave Thompson? Can I get a thumbs up, Dave? I can see your mouth moving, so just give me a thumbs up.
All right.
That's a thumbs up from Dave Thompson for the record.
Good. Thank you,
Lisa
Jessica.
Buck?
Yes.
John Beckett?
Yes.
Krista Schwentzer?
Yes.
Doesn't work right.
Judd McIntosh?
Yes.
Michael Costello?
Yes.
And Phil Ruck.
Yes. Very good.
That's
Moving on.
7-4. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Next up, old business number 4. We have a continuation of a discussion on a proposed land use ordinance amendment to section 18-130 excavation, removal, and filling of lands. Kyle, we asked you to make a few changes. This is our 3rd discussion on this topic. I think we've covered it pretty thoroughly, but can you give us an update from where we were last time?
Sure. So I made a couple of changes based on our last conversation. They can primarily be found on page 2 of version 6 of the draft that was sent out. The first change, well, it might have been the second one mentioned in the memo, but the first one, if you actually look at section 2A, it talks about, it was about the discussion we had about that 100 cubic yard, more than 100 cubic yards of earth moving, earthwork, triggering site plan review. Right now, over 100 yards triggers site plan review in all the districts. All districts are treated the same. There's some discussion whether in the forest and agriculture district, since a lot of times you have bigger lot sizes and things are more spread out, if that number could possibly be raised. So the way I wrote it in here was that earth moving in excess of 100 cubic yards in all zoning districts except the forest and agriculture district, and earth moving in excess of 200 cubic yards of material in the forest and agriculture district would require site plan approval. One thing that I should have put in here that kind of came up after the fact in talking with other staff is probably the line about, earth moving in excess of 200 cubic yards of material in the forest and agriculture district should probably specify that that's for legally conforming lots in the forest and agriculture district. So those lots that are 4 acres and above, that's the minimum lot size in the district, because there are some legally non-conforming lots in the forest and agriculture district that are smaller size. So if the logic is that we're raising the amount to trigger site plan approval because of the bigger lot size, we should probably make sure that only lots that actually meet the minimum lot size of the district can take advantage of that. But that would just be a small insert that I could do after the fact.
Yep, very good. Thank you, Kyle.
And then the second revision since the last discussion was an exemption 2E. When we talk about existing driveways and parking areas that are not creating any sort of expansion at all, they're just bringing in, they're not taking away material, they're not digging up any earth, they're just bringing in a certain amount of material to fill in, to repair or maintain an existing impervious surface. So even if a situation like that comes up where it's over 100 cubic yards, that would be exempted from needing to go to the planning board for site plan approval and could be approved by the code office through a permit. And I, kind of at the end there of that section, put subsection 3A of this section shall still apply to all projects that meet this exemption. So 3A is the standard that allows the code officer to consult with the town engineer, and if other issues come up and more information is required, there's an ability or mechanism to kind of refer or recommend that the project be reviewed by the planning board. So that would ideally still be in place.
Great.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So any feedback and discussion is welcome.
Yeah, that change obviously makes sense to me. That was the intent in FNA. For those larger lots, we allow a bigger limit. So that was a good catch. Any comments on the changes? These are the two that we requested, going over the meeting minutes and all the discussion from our last month's meeting. Those are the two outstanding issues. Are people comfortable with that 200 yard limit, and also that the caveat for the driveways that our town engineer can review that, and then the legally non-conforming or the legally conforming lots in FNA. Does all that make sense? Any comments from the board?
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yep. Others?
Agreed. I agree. It's
Yeah.
those are the changes we requested. Looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Good with
Any-
me.
Awesome. Krista?
I'm good with it.
Okay. I think this addresses all, I think I just heard from everybody. This does appear to address our concerns, and I think we did a thorough job of reviewing it. So thanks for all the comments. This is a public hearing, so if I don't have any other comments from the board, any comments, Jessica? Anybody listening in? Hello?
Nobody in
What?
chat whatsoever.
Yeah. Man, I don't know why. Nice night like this. But all right, so last call, nobody else? Jessica going once, twice, gone. Are we okay? Nothing,
Yeah,
Jessica?
we're good. I got nothing.
All right, I'm closing the public hearing. That pen wasn't too loud. There we go. Closing the public hearing. Final comments from board members. So I guess we're making a recommendation, but I do think we need a motion, and everything that Kyle proposed with the addition of that language for the, he was going to insert the conforming lot comment for FNA. That's the only change I saw. So I guess, yeah, if we're okay, could somebody, Kyle, actually, I just want to confirm this. Do we need to go through this process, or can we just make our recommendation?
I think it would be good to have
Let's do
everyone,
it.
just so it's
Got
on record, to make sure everyone agrees with the recommendation.
Makes sense to me. Thank you, Kyle. All right. So can I have a motion, please?
I move that we recommend to the council the approval of the proposed amendment to the Orono Land Use Ordinance to amend excavation, removal, and filling of lands, version 6, plus the addition of requiring that the FNA, earth moving in excess of 200 cubic yards of materials, be for only conforming lots.
Yeah, in the FNA. Good. Thank you, Jed. Can I have a second?
Second.
John, you're quick on the draw. All right.
I was
Any
ready.
further discussion? Jessica, you're up again.
All right, for approval of the motion to recommend to council, Dave Thompson,
Approval, yes.
Lisa Buck,
Yep.
John Beckett,
Yes.
Krista Spencer,
Yes,
Jed McIntosh,
Yes.
Michael Costello,
Yes.
and Phil Ruck.
That's a yes for me, too.
That's 7-4.
Very good. All right. We're flying along. Next up, new business. We have one. It's a minor site plan review application by Emily McIntosh for a personal fitness training home business located at 25 Edgewood Drive in the medium density residential district. And just for a little background, Kyle called me back, I think it was in March sometime, and just had mentioned, just due to the pandemic and issues when things were really getting heated up at the start there, we had a couple of our again, the home business opportunities, and this was one of them. And I think they were given conditional approval, and they were going to end up before us. We just asked them if they were going to operate, that they follow all our rules. So here we are again. Kyle, actually, no, sorry. I'm going to ask the applicant if Emily could step in. And I imagine, Judd, that you would probably be recusing yourself for this one, but
Yeah.
I could be mistaken. All
I
right.
think it'd be a good idea if I recuse myself. Yep.
Good call. Good
Yep.
call. So again, and I just want to clarify, we're going to cover this in the last item on our agenda, but Mike, I believe you're still an associate member, and that hopefully will change after this evening. So
We
you're
actually got Mike as an official member
Okay.
now.
good. That's what I
Recent
wanted to
change.
hear.
Yep.
Never mind. So I think we're ready for the applicant. If they could, or she could give us a summary of what was proposed and hopefully has been operating successfully for months now.
Sure. Are you able to hear me?
We are.
Okay, I don't see that my camera is on, but I don't suppose you need to see me to hear what I have to say. All good to go?
I believe so. Yeah, I can't see you, but we can hear you.
All right. So long story short, at the beginning of the year, I decided to leave the big gym environment and wanted to start training clients in a small personal setting in my home. So I made the application for a home occupation. This space is in our basement. It's just a small space that will accommodate 1 to 2 people at a time. I don't plan on having any signage. Promotion of the business is just my own personal clients through word of mouth. So no signage on the business, no on-street parking. The 1 to 2 cars that will be coming at a time will be accommodated by the driveway. So it's pretty simple and straightforward. And you were correct. I was given a conditional permit back in March when all of the COVID stuff happened. But because of that, was following the same protocol that was recommended for fitness facilities. So it really hasn't been terribly busy here. I'm hoping to continue to kind of build that pending official approval tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you, Emily. Before we open up the public hearing, I guess, Kyle, if you have anything to add to this, this is one of our simplest ones that we see.
Right, so there's not too much to add. Home businesses are an allowable use in all zoning districts. The difference being with a home business is there's the potential for people outside of the people in the business or the office to actually come to the home. So that's why we generally review these just to make sure all standards are being met. The applicant wasn't proposing any expansion of the structure due to the business, so no new utilities, no outside storage, no signage or lighting due to the home business. Home businesses allow on a minor street up to 10 vehicle trip ends per day. With what the applicant had talked about, likely a handful a week or 1 to 2 cars at a time at most. It seems like from a traffic standpoint, the home business was fine. Parking, home businesses can utilize up to 4 off-street parking spaces. So again, not really an issue there. So staff had no remaining concerns. It's a legal lot and the use is allowed.
Very good. I did notice, I just want to address this while we have you, Kyle, the waiver request. So that is something prior to voting that we'll need to address, correct?
Right, due to the home businesses, when there's not an expansion, or really any project at all, when there's not an expansion of actual structure, and there's usually a list of those to go through.
Yeah, it seemed pretty straightforward. Very good. Any questions from the board to the applicant?
No.
I had none. This was, again, it's seemingly an easy one. Any last call? I'm going to open up the public hearing. There we go. Could you hear that? I was banging on my glass. So open up the public hearing. Jessica, do we have anybody?
We don't have anyone in the chat, but I know Kyle had received a comment from the public that he can read into the record.
Very good. You're up, Kyle.
Yep, so we got 3 emails or letters received at the initial time of the application combined with this new time of advertising. So I'll just read through the emails. One comment is from Arlene Comstock at 11 Edgewood Drive. I would like to once again state that my daughter, homeowner, and I, resident, do not wish to okay any home business in our area. I hope you have my previous letter on file. It does not matter that this is a minor site plan review. Our neighborhood still is in opposition to this request. We have a neighborhood which is a very special place for our children to play and ride their bicycles in. There is only one way in and one way out. Our neighborhood is exceptional in the fact that we have only local homeowner traffic. This is not an area to set up any business. This is a family area, and any business would significantly change the demeanor of the neighborhood. I encourage you to put encourage you to deny this request. I'm hopeful that we do not have to respond to any more requests of this nature. We love our neighborhood as it is. Our children are blessed to experience an area which takes us back in time for exploration, freedom to skateboard, ride bikes, roam without fear of traffic, etc. We hopefully hope that you honor this neighborhood request. Sincerely, Arlene Comstock. I don't know if you want to comment as we go or save it for the end.
Why don't you just read them all and then we'll
Okay.
address them.
This one from W. Murray Bain to Planning Board. My name is Murray Bain, and I have lived for almost 60 years at 8 Edgewood Drive. Over these many years, I have become aware of the nature of this development. We cannot attend this meeting because of current world conditions, my age, and personal physical and health conditions. We raised 2 children here where they had lots of wonderful playmates whose parents were always on the watch over them, so that I know of no incidents that led to serious injuries to any of them. This is a lovely, quiet, peaceful neighborhood filled with wonderful, friendly adults, too many cats, and a fluctuating population of tremendous children. Because it is within easy, safe walking distance to the schools, it easily attracts families. As the loop developed, it has quotation marks, I guess, name of the area. As the loop developed, it was occupied by similarly aged occupants, so that as the children of the tenants moved away, the loop became a larger number of 4-bedroom homes occupied by older citizens. These occupants were gradually replaced by young families, and the cycle began again. Ask yourself why you chose to live here. In case you have forgotten, there is an increasingly familiar phenomenon of working out of home, multiple car families, and home care businesses developing in residential neighborhoods. This loop has generally avoided these. However, over these 60 years, the traffic here has increased, but generally speed has not been a problem. But outsiders frequently are not quite as observant. As is being experienced elsewhere, Orono families are taking in senior parents, many of whom have walking difficulties. I've noticed that many neighborhood children and their friends and some adults apparently do not know which side of the street to walk on when there are no sidewalks. To date, this does not seem to be a problem. This is a world in constant change and generally for the better, but this is not one of them. Successful businesses have a habit of growing and generating traffic. The condition of the roads and the loop is awful. These are my feelings, and because of them, I vote no on the proposal. And the last one is handwritten, so if I take a second to need it to adjust. Okay, my home is located at 8 Edgewood Drive. My husband, Murray, and I feel very fortunate to have lived in our home for 53 years. I am now watching the 3rd generation of children growing up in our neighborhood. It has always been such a wonderful place for families to live, being within walking distance to our schools. Never having to cross a major street. Parents knew that their children were safe when they played, sometimes in and around the street. Neighbors are aware of our precious children. I don't feel strangers driving into our neighborhood have the same awareness. We also have many adult walkers, young and old. I wish Emily the best in her new endeavor, but for the safety of our children and adults, young and old, I must vote no. So those were the 3. I think
Jessica, any on the chat? Any on the message board?
Nobody in the chat at all.
Okay. Emily, would you like to address some of the concerns that you just heard? It seemed like traffic, speed, you know, those types of issues that, you know, that we just heard. Would you like to address them?
I absolutely would. I actually quite loved all of those letters because they echo my own sentiments about the neighborhood. We have 2 children. We love that they can go out and roam the streets and bike and whatnot. I hear the concern that a successful business will grow over time, but I will tell you that it was never my intention to get larger and generate volume. My intention was to be home for my kids. And that really was the intention behind bringing things closer to home, is being in the community and being at home for them. So in order to do that, you have to stay small. And that's really been my intention, is to train personally a few people at home. Right now, there's under the conditional permit, there's 2 people coming to the house per week. And I don't see it growing terribly large. Everybody that I train here and everybody that I train at all become, personal friends as well as clients. So comfortable having a conversation with them about the integrity of the neighborhood. So I echo the sentiments of those letters, and I can absolutely respect what's behind what they wrote.
Very, very good. Thank you, Emily. That seemed to come through in the letters, and again, maybe a discussion with your clients would be appropriate. Yeah. Any other comments? Questions from the board? Giving those, I mean, Kyle, this is, and again, an allowed use. That is how we set up home occupations and home businesses.
Right. So to the kind of growth aspect of these home businesses, the standards for home businesses kind of put a limit on how much you can grow. I mean, you can only have 10 vehicle trip ends to the house a day. Beyond that, you're not meeting the standards of a home business, and you would no longer be, you'd be in violation of your approval if that weren't happening. So the ordinance sort of puts limits in place to hopefully prevent, home businesses from turning into full-scale commercial operations. It's supposed to remain a kind of accessory use to the primary residential use. So just, I feel like in some of the letters, people seem to, they see the word business and get a sense of what that means, but the ordinance does have certain standards in place to try and prevent that from happening.
Emily, what is your typical training session? How long does that last?
They're typically about 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay. So, and if you do one client at a time, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And what Kyle said is 10 trip ends. So Kyle, that would be, I mean, 1 trip in, 1 trip out. So that's certainly going to limit, just again, doing the math, that's going to limit the amount of people and time that you would have available, just thinking about that. So
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to do the math here. So other questions, comments from the board for Emily? All right, I'm not hearing any. Jessica, anything on the chat or the messages?
Nothing at all.
All right, last call for public comment. Going once, twice, just close that public hearing. Further questions? I don't have any. It does sound like Emily has heard the concerns and is aware of those this evening. So further comments? All right, I do believe we need to act on the waiver request. So if again, there is a letter in the application, the back page of the application dated February 13th. So I would need a motion on that waiver request, please. Does anybody want to take a stab at that?
Okay, I move we approve the waiver on of the submission requirements.
Very good. Kyle, do we need to list those? They're all there in the waiver and in the application. That should be sufficient, correct?
Correct. I don't think you need to list them individually.
Okay, very good. So we are approving the items listed in the waiver request and in the letter. We have a motion. Thank you, Krista. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Lisa, you got it. Heard your voice a little quicker. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion on that waiver request? Jessica, can you do a roll, please?
And this is just for the approval of the waiver, not the entire,
Correct.
okay.
Correct.
All right, Dave, for the approval of the waiver, yay or nay?
Yes, approval.
Lisa Buck?
Yes.
John Beckett?
Yay.
Krista Spencer?
Yes.
Judd McIntosh?
He's not, he has to abstain.
That's right, apologies, Judd. Can you just confirm for the record that you're abstaining, please?
I abstain.
Thank you. Michael Costello?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Phil Rock?
Yes for me as well. All right,
So
thank
that's
you.
4 with 1 abstaining.
Very good. Thank you, Jessica. Next up, we have a proposed findings of fact for this application for us to consider this evening. Just so you know, they were not in the packet, but we just received them by email. So I'm going to read those. If you haven't been able to check your email, I will read these into the record, and we can discuss them as we go per our usual custom. So this is, again, proposed findings of fact for Emily McIntosh site plan review dated August 19, 2020. Pursuant to Article 6, Section 18-177 of the Orono Code of Ordinances, the Orono Planning Board has considered the application of Emily McIntosh for an after-the-fact minor site plan for a home business located at tax map 27-1 lot 47 in the medium-density residential district. And based on all evidence presented by the applicant, reviewing agencies, town departments, and the public found the following. 1, and we're going to do this by thumbs up again. So I'll have to, I can't see all of your faces. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to scroll through and just make sure I see thumbs up. So work with me on this one. I don't know why I can't see you in a grid this evening, but that's the way it is. So number 1, requirements of the district that the project is allowable in the medium density residential district and that the proposal complies with the applicable dimensional requirements of the district. Are we okay with that? These see things. All right. All right. Number 2, compliance with town ordinances and codes that the project met the provisions of applicable regulations of the town, including all pertinent sections of Chapter 18 Land Use Ordinance. Thumbs up or thumbs down on that? Very good. Number 3, utilization of the site, that there is no new construction as part of the home business. We okay with that? All right. Number 4, this is one we just discussed. There were concerns raised, traffic and pedestrian access, that the home business expects only 1 or 2 vehicles to be at the home at any given time. Are we okay with that? All right. Moving on, storage of materials. Number 5, that there will be no exposed storage of materials. Are we all set with that? Okay, number 6, stormwater management, that the project is not creating any new impervious cover. We okay with that? All right, 7, erosion control, that there is no new construction, therefore erosion control measures will not be taken. We all set? All right, number 8, water supply and sewage disposal, that there is no change in water or sewer capacity needed. Any issues there? All right. Utilities, number 9, that there is no change to any utilities. We okay? All right, number 10, natural features, that there will be no change to the natural features of the site. Are we okay with that one? All right, 11, groundwater and surface water quality protection, that the proposed project does not adversely impact either the quality or quantity of groundwater available to abutting properties or to public water supply systems. Are we okay with that? All right, I just did groundwater. So number 12, hazardous, special, and radioactive materials, that the use of the site does not involve the handling, storage, or use of hazardous, special, or radioactive materials. Okay with that? All right, moving on. 13, shoreland relationship, that the site is not within a shoreland area. Any issues there? Seeing none. 14, solid waste management, that no changes to solid waste management are proposed. We okay with that? All right. Did I do historic? Yeah, I guess 16, financial capacity, that the applicant had the financial capacity to carry out the project. Are we okay with that? And lastly, 17, noise and lighting, that no additional noise or lighting were created due to the project. All set? All right, those are the findings of fact in the record. I think we're ready for a motion, please.
Okay. I move that we approve the home occupation for Emily McIntosh at 25 Edgewood Drive, tax map 27./1, lot 47, in the medium density residential district.
Very good. Just want to clarify. So home occupation, this is a home business, and I think we clarified. So I just want to be clear on that. Just a home business, correct?
It's now a home business.
Yeah, I think so. But Kyle, isn't there a distinction? Home occupation, home business? I still can't get it all right.
Home occupation is the umbrella term.
Okay,
Under
good.
home occupation, it can be home office, home workshop, or
Got
home
it.
business.
Got it. Thank you, Krista. You're right. Right. So we have a motion. Thank you, Krista. Can I have a second?
Second.
Dave, you got it. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none. Jessica, you're up again.
Alrighty. For the approval of Emily McIntosh's home occupation, Dave Thompson,
Approval.
Lisa Buck,
Yes.
John Beckett,
Yes.
Krista Schwenzer,
Yes.
Judd McIntosh is abstaining,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Costello,
Yes.
and Phil Rock.
That's a yes for me.
And that's 6-4 with one abstaining.
Very good. Thank you, Jessica. Other new business, I don't see any on our agenda. So next up is discussion. Kyle noted that we were a little overdue in our review of planning board bylaws, and he threw it on our agenda this evening because we were fortunately a little lighter. So Kyle, what do you have for us?
Sure. So I hadn't taken too close a look at these either, as there's most things are laid out in the ordinance for planning board and its operations and procedures, but there are a few things in here I felt like that should be looked at and should be reviewed. Some of them are just kind of edits due to, the language being a little outdated with the tape recording. I mean, we have everything
More 8 tracks
on Facebook now. So, but, we should probably try to use some general terms so maybe it'll last a little longer and it doesn't have to be updated again when the new wave of technology comes out. But I say one of the key things is the fact that each year the chair and vice chair should be elected or re-elected. That is not something, it was supposed to be done at our April meeting. Obviously, we didn't have an in-person April meeting. Actually, I don't know if we had an April meeting at all. I don't think we did because it was, kind of right at the start of almost. But so that's something that I would say could either be done this evening if members were comfortable, or could be done, we could do it more officially at the next meeting. Also, raising the issue of just associate members and the role that they have at the meeting itself. So we have 7 regular members and we're supposed to have 2 associate members. Now that Mr. Costello has been bumped up to a normal member role, We only have one associate member, and Mr. Strecker, who's absent this evening. But hopefully soon we will be getting a replacement, a new addition to the board, and they would take on one of those associate member positions. The associate members are welcome to take part in the meetings and participate, but when it comes to voting, we should only be taking 7 votes, and the associate members should not be voting if all of the regular board members are present and voting. So they would only be voting in a situation where the chair designated that they, should be voting because someone was absent. Just as a reminder, I mean, sometimes, especially on the Zoom calls when we're kind of all jumbled up on a screen in tile form, it can be easy to just kind of scroll through and, go person by person. So those were really from the process side of things, the things I noticed. Outside of that, it was just some edits I listed on the second page of the memo. As far as, again, clarifying some outdated language, I think a section was mislabeled, misnumbered as there were 2 section 6s or article 6s instead of having a 7 in there. And inserting section 4A, it talks about a regular meeting of the planning board shall be held on the 3rd Wednesday of each month. I thought it might be good to put in there, some bit of extra language about being able to schedule in a different day should some scheduling conflict arise. Sometimes
Yeah, we have done that.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, also I just wanted to use it as an opportunity for everyone to be able to take a look at it, and if anyone saw anything that should be either taken out or added in, it's a good time to make those recommendations, and I could bring back the language at next month's meeting.
All right. I don't know if anybody had a chance to review that. I just had a couple of things. Kyle, that was a thorough review that you provided. Just curious if I can address a couple. So that would be 3C. It does say the board shall designate a secretary either from its members or a non-member. So clearly this is town staff. Do we need to clarify that, as a non-member, or can we just nominate Jessica to deal with that for us? Do we have to be specific, or is that fine? A non-member would be her, but.
How about if we name her position, the town,
Correct.
with the town, and then as long as she's it, fine, and if she decides to go somewhere else, then the next person will.
Correct. I was just wondering, I agree. I was joking by putting her in the ordinance, but if we just had more flexibility, then whatever. That was just a random thought.
Yep.
And it's absolute that we don't want to be the secretary.
No, that was my point, Krista. Yeah. Like, no, that's
Are you sure, Krista? Because, you can do the minutes if you want.
All right, just moving on down. We mentioned, do we need to specify a time for our meetings? Because clearly we like having the ability on occasion to shift that around, because we went from 7 to 6:30, but we had actually proposed for Zoom meetings even an earlier start. I could not do that this evening, or didn't think I could, but we have mentioned that. Should we just keep it general? So as long as it's, on that 3rd Wednesday, or, another day if there's a conflict, is there any need to address a time in there?
The only thing I would say is that if we're going to change a time, we have to give enough notice for the public so that they're aware.
Yeah, good point. Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, every time that we've made a decision to have a meeting at a certain time, it's been before we send out the public notice for the meeting. But yeah, it could be worth putting that in writing in the bylaws that, you know, there's no specified time necessarily, but, you know, if, you know, we will announce the time, you know, and stick to that time by the, you know, time we send out the public notice language.
Was it 7 days? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that,
that's good.
that
Good
7
point.
days, that applies to certain, yeah, but there's state law also, like with zoning changes, it's further in advance and things like that. So, yeah.
Good catch,
Am,
Lisa.
am I missing where it says the time? I only see the third Wednesday of each month under meetings.
I jumped up the note. Okay, sorry. The time that I was mentioning, there is no mention of it, Mike. I just wondered whether we actually needed to. I was hoping not, so we could be flexible. But so it was just a question of whether we had to, you know, regularly, you know, so the third Wednesday at 6:30 or, you know, something like that. I'd
Maybe
rather
I
be
that's
think
right.
we're better off just being silent on that. And then
Right.
we have the flexibility that
Yeah.
for several months we do one thing and then later on we do something else because it works better.
Yeah.
Maybe, that was probably the intent when it was written that way.
Other thoughts on that? I'm not trying to create something. I just figured I'd ask because we don't review these bylaws very well, ever, hardly.
I just so long as we are being clear with the public about when the meeting is going to be and how much notice
Yep.
they're going to get if there's a change.
I agree.
Did I hear that you couldn't find where it says third Wednesday?
No, I think Mike's question was whether there was a mention of a time, and there isn't. And
No time, just the third Wednesday.
I'm just going to keep on rolling. I just had a few comments. So 6A, and I maybe I'm
The
not
first
reading
6 or the second 6?
it. Site plan review.
Okay.
And yeah, good catch, because I caught that too. Is that 10 days? Is that 30 as well, or am I reading that wrong? Does that, because you had a comment in your review on the second page, that top bullet, section 5, rules of procedure A. Also, in general, we require 30 days of notice for any project to allow for review. I'm just wondering whether that 10 days, am I overthinking this?
I think I was going to check on that, but I missed that, or I forgot to go back to that one. Yeah, I think it should be, because in general, for every project, we require applicants, to have everything in within 30 days. I mean, 10 days, for instance, with the zoning changes to the ordinance, your state law requires 14 days of notice. Right. So obviously the 10 days wouldn't work in any situation.
Right, that's what I thought. So I just figured that was, you know, you submit your material and, you know, we're 30 days for submitting applications. So 30 days should be there as well. So that's both of those references to 10 days in that A. And then the last comment
on that
had,
one that we were just talking about, should that also be that the town planner is notified rather than the chairperson? Because we changed it to town planner somewhere else.
Wow, good catch. I missed that one. Yep. Good catch. Thank you, Krista. Yep. And lastly, I was just wondering when I got to the, again, trying to figure out whether we've been doing this improperly for as long as I've been on this board, but so the second 6 public hearings, it actually is very specific in our procedure, you know. So I'm supposed to call up major proponents and other proponents, and then have my stopwatch. And I mean, we never really have, you know, a lineup of people. So, you know, I usually just ask if it's either or. So I was just wondering, I mean, I don't mind doing this, but I would just want to make sure, am I supposed to follow that specific procedure? Because if so,
Yeah,
I've been doing things wrong.
I thought that was a bit strange as well. I didn't want to change it, but it was
Yeah.
something that I
Well, it says
obviously,
the order
right.
of presentation, and I don't think I've
No, you could
done
change it
that.
to the order of presentation may be as follows, which
Yeah,
keeps the language but doesn't obligate you to do it that way. And it also gives you,
Yeah.
if we have 40 people that show up one night,
Yeah.
it gives you some guidance as to how to handle it. Or not, the board chair, I should say. I
Yeah.
keep thinking that you will forever be the board chair.
aren't I termed out? Man. Yeah.
No, you're not.
Man. 30-year
And
commitment.
I
I hate that.
wonder on that one where we have the time limits, it seems like 30 minutes for one speaker is awfully long.
I thought
mean,
so too.
I
I
was
don't-
thinking we'd cut it back at least to 20, cut it back further than 20.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know that.
that's, yeah, I don't think it's one. I think that's pretty much the people for it get 30 minutes. Then the people, I see that as plural, major proponents. So that's anyone who's for the project gets a total of 30 minutes to speak. And then, but I don't know how you define major versus other, right? Major maybe are the people
Yeah.
involved, and other are the other people there. But I like the simple solution here is Lisa's solution, which
Yeah.
she came up with, which is insert a may and we're done.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? I obviously like flexibility and keeping it simple. Does Lisa's edit, does that make sense just to give us a little bit more leeway?
I would
Does it?
say, yeah, I'm in favor of the May. That covers things nicely. But just in case somebody comes in with the expectation that they're going to have 30 minutes to talk,
Yeah. No, have we ever
I
had
think
that?
we should cut these down a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know that we've ever had a 30-minute speaker. Some that kind of got the hook out a little bit, but
We've had some speakers who went on and on.
yeah.
I can remember back when the Peregrine, I think,
Oh yeah.
you were on the board then, when they had a really detailed, long presentation. They had a lot of material to present, and I'm sure they took 30 minutes or more, maybe more.
Yeah.
I think the amount of time depends on what we're actually contemplating here.
I do think if you have the may in there and you set it
Yeah.
at 20 minutes, I mean, that gives the board the option to go either way. You can stick to that 20 minutes, or if it's just, if someone's kind of going on a, ramble and going off topic, you can stick to that 20 minutes or 30 minutes. But if it's a project that's just taking time because it's a big project, then, it gives the chair the authority to kind of disregard it and let the person,
Yeah.
speak as long as they need to get the idea across.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was sort of the way I was thinking, but then I realized this is the public hearing part, that when the proponents of the project are presenting it, that comes before the public hearing. So these are people who are speaking at a public hearing.
So and that's one way I thought of it. So I was distinguishing between the applicants and usually just people in the audience, so proponents, and I didn't want to confuse the two. So I just figured it's usually members or butters or whoever, interested parties that show up and want to say something. So I wasn't sure. I kind of like the 20-minute limit in the May. I don't want people abusing that time. We rarely, if ever, have had that. But Dave's point is a good one, that the Peregrine project way back when was pretty involved. But other comments on that, Mike, John?
I go with the May and 20 minutes.
Yeah. Mike, did you have any thoughts?
No, I'm good with what Krista was saying and John.
Okay, Judd, what did you think on? Or you think the May just gives us that flexibility?
And I'm fine changing it to 20, changing the 30s
Okay.
to 20s. I don't want to change the 5s to 20s, just the 30s to 20s.
No. And again, we're usually pretty good on trying to, minimize just the redundant conversation, and that's covered in here. So I was glad to see that. I just didn't want to be held to that strict of a process, because usually we can let it roll a little bit easier with our public hearings. So.
Can we turn that 6 public hearings into the number 7? Because that's what it should be.
Yeah, Kyle actually, so he had his summary, a bulleted point summary of this document, and he actually caught a few of those items because, for instance, so you take a look at the second page of his memorandum of the planning board bylaws. That second page, he mentioned the 2 6s, I think, and he caught the land, because he said zoning ordinance should be changed. It's called land use ordinance now. So he caught a bunch of those things. So the bulleted points that he identified, I agreed with. I just kept checking them off.
Yeah, I
and
didn't want to put the edits right into the bylaw since it was the first time and kind of cloud up what it really looked like.
Right. So again, just to clarify, Lisa, and so that you're going to give us a clean copy for a discussion at our next meeting.
Yes.
Right. So all of these, we should see all the changes.
Yeah,
and the
I'll
bullets in the new
insert those
document.
edits. Yep, as well as the ones that you've mentioned. Yep.
Other comments?
Yeah, I have some.
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
Under number 2, membership.
Yes.
B, in the 3rd line, it says, when there is a permanent vacancy, the municipal officers shall appoint an individual to serve the unexpired term. And in the past, there have been times when they did not appoint an associate member to fill that slot, but brought in somebody from the outside. So we had somebody who had not learned any of how things work, who were put in, and then we had associate members who still couldn't vote, while this person straight off the street could. So I'm proposing that when there is a permanent vacancy, the senior associate member will serve the remainder of the unexpired term and be eligible for appointment to a full term after the partial term expires.
That's a very good point. Thoughts on that? I agree with that. That makes sense.
I agree.
Agree with it.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Good.
And then number 3, number 3B, on the second page, the first line on the second page is the vice chairman shall call meetings of the planning board in the absence of the chairperson. And then I think we should insert another item here that says the vice chairperson shall preside at meetings, because they not only can call a meeting, but we should also give them the right to preside at the meeting.
Yeah, so she'll call meetings and preside, over them or whatever. So
Yeah.
Kyle, take a crack at that change.
Okay. And then I think we might want to add a number 4 to that section. And that is that another planning board member designated by the chairperson shall preside at meetings in the absence of the chair and vice chair.
Mhm.
That's happened at least once.
Yeah.
And we had a quorum present, and at the last minute, both the chair and the vice chair were absent and somebody else presided. So I think we should make that legal.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, if you only need, 4 for a quorum and, there's 7 regular members, then yeah, could happen.
Yep.
One more, under
you're-
meetings, or are you ready to jump on to the next one?
One sec, okay,
You're on a roll.
I'm good.
Yeah.
What section was it?
Meetings?
Okay. Krista, you're muted.
All right. The last item, C, refers to us recommending revisions to the town's comprehensive plan. And now that the plan gets
Oh, yeah.
revised every 4 years, do we actually recommend changes to the comprehensive plan?
I just want to be clear on that. So you said 4 years. It's typically 10 years. What am I
I
missing?
said 10 years, I think.
Okay.
I hope.
Yeah. I agree. So yeah, that was amended, but. Yeah, because I think by state statute, they expect it every 10 years. Most towns don't seem to be able to follow that. I think we were a little bit tardy on ours. Kyle, what are your thoughts on?
I mean, I think it's worth leaving in there. I imagine, we haven't done one of revision of the comp plan since I've been here. But I imagine it would be like an amendment to the ordinance where it was something initiated at the council committee level, probably the comprehensive plan committee, and then would have to come to the planning board for a public hearing, and the planning board would make a recommendation to send it back to the council for a public hearing. I guess there could be an idea in the comprehensive plan that already exists, but maybe circumstances come up over the course of several years where they want to change a recommendation or add a supporting document, or something could come up, I suppose, that you'd want to add to the comprehensive plan as a resource or a slight amendment. And then that would allow the planning board to take that action. I don't think it gives the planning board any responsibility that they have to take. It's just the option should the town council have some specific recommendation or revision to the comp plan that they wanted to look at.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah.
Under public announcements, are we still good with just the Bangor Daily and Penobscot Times? Does that still cover us? Does anyone read that anymore?
We still send that out.
Yeah.
Each time for each public hearing. So.
And we probably, I don't know whether we need to include the website, but.
That's a good point. Yeah, other publication options. That's a good point. Should we broaden that, Kyle? I mean, we put it on the
Yeah, I can look
website.
about.
I don't know, social media. Do we need to? How deep do we need to go here? But we
Sure,
do
so
use other options. Yeah.
I can look at what's, so the reason that's in there is because it's required by the state. So we might do certain things that we just do, you know, posting on Facebook or something just out of good practice.
Okay.
But, you know, we could include all of it. I mean, this is the, you know, bylaws specific to this planning board. And if the, you know, planning board had certain feelings about noticing that we're, you know, kind of more hope to reach a broader range of people and were things that we were already doing, then there's no reason they couldn't be put in here, I think.
Yeah, Kyle, just similar to your, again, having more of a generic term like tape recordings, or was it like 8mm video or whatever, something like that. So yeah, if you just have some generic wording that won't have to be changed every year. You know. So obviously not a specific reference to Facebook, because who can say it's going to happen 3 years down the road. But,
Yeah, digital media or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. There's something that'll stick for a while. Yeah.
We could always put it in Uncle Henry's.
Nice. Krista, did you have other comments?
No, I've exhausted my comments.
No, those were very good. We've had some good discussion here. Other revisions, suggested edits from the board? This should last us another, 25 years, I think, with these changes, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, I just noticed something, just editorial. So the first 6, site plan review, take a look at that spelling.
That would be, that'd be another one.
Yep. Well, very, very good. So this isn't something we need to vote on. So we'll see a clean copy at our next meeting. Kyle, what do we have? We're in discussion. So what do we have on tap?
There's nothing official that's in for the September meeting. So I'm not 100% sure yet. If nothing else is ready or comes forward, then, you know, I'll let you know. If there's no meeting, we can always, you know, push this back to the next next time we meet.
Did we have any more of the conditional approval? I know there was a, I'm trying to remember, there's a food truck. This one you mentioned there were either 2 or 3, but
right. Yeah, there's one other that I have to will reach out to that could potentially be something that we do in September.
Yeah, I'm not saying I want a meeting, but I just it seemed like there were more that we have not discussed.
Right, there were 2 in total. So
okay, yeah. All right, go easy on us if they're not ready to come to the meeting.
Sure.
Yeah. Any other comments on the bylaws? All right. Do we want to wait until the next meeting? Kyle did mention that I believe all of you wanted to jump into that chairman or chairperson role, but so I don't. Do we want to do that today or wait till next time?
I propose we do it today.
So who wants to be chair?
I nominate Phil Rock to be chair.
Come on.
Second.
I know I appreciate the opportunity to work with you folks. I am not opposed to continuing, well, for another year anyways. I can't see that far ahead. Yep.
All in favor?
Well, you know, I appreciate the support. This is a good group to work with. I think we've been quite diligent, so I'd like to continue that.
So do we have to make a motion and vote on it here, Kyle? Or we Good.
I think.
I made a motion, and I believe it was seconded even.
Yeah, I
Right.
heard that.
Weird.
I do think there should be a vote, just so we can put it in the minutes that it's official.
So that, yeah, that Lisa motioned and there was a second. So
Mhm.
Yeah, any discussion, clearly that anybody else wants it, jump right in. All right, I'll have to abstain. Jessica, can you do the roll, please?
Yep, just making a quick note that you're abstaining. For the approval of Phil Ruck as chair for yet another year. Dave Thompson,
Absolutely.
Lisa Buck,
Without a doubt.
Oh, wow.
John Beckett,
You bet.
Krista Schwenzer,
I'm going to say yes, I'm out of ideas.
Judd McIntosh,
yes.
and Michael Costello.
Yes, but why only a year?
You get your checks are in the mail, everybody. That should be coming soon. I'm donating
That's
my
on the
planning
record
board
now.
check. Yeah,
That was 6-4 with one abstaining.
Yeah, I'll split up my planning board check and send each of you a piece of that. So. Now,
Did we
Vice
want
Chair?
to do the
Yeah.
vice chair now too then?
Yeah, let's do them both.
I nominate Judd McIntosh for vice chair.
I second.
As long as Phil attends every meeting, I'm fine with that.
Man, it's tough on me. No, it's been a good group. I think any one of you could step into that, but Judd, you've done a great job with it. So, hey, further discussion on that? I appreciate the input. Any further?
No.
All right, Judd, you're up. Jessica, can we get a roll again, please? Judd, you okay with that?
Yes.
Judd, okay. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. All right,
All
Jessica.
right, for the approval of Judd McIntosh as vice chair, Dave Thompson,
Yes.
Lisa Buck,
Yes.
John Beckett,
Yes.
Krista Schwenzer,
Yes,
Michael Costello,
Yes.
and Phil Ruck.
Wholeheartedly. So, great.
That's 6-4 with one abstaining.
Very good. Thank you, Jessica. All right, we are to the moment we've all been waiting for. Last item on our agenda is adjournment. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I'll
Very
second.
good. Very good. Thank you. Any further discussion? Maybe we'll see you in September, maybe October. We shall see. Stay tuned. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Jessica, one last time.
Dave Thompson for approval for adjourning,
Adjourn.
Lisa Buck,
Yep.
John Beckett,
Yes.
Krista Spencer,
yes.
Judd McIntosh,
Yes.
Michael Costello,
Yes.
Phil Ruck.
Yes, for me. Enjoy the rest of your summer, everybody.
You too,
Thanks,
Phil.
you too.
Yeah.
Thanks,
You're
everyone.
See ya.
See you next time.
Thanks, Jessica.